My Lords, it not being convenient for Her Majesty personally to be present here this day, she has been pleased to cause a commission under the Great Seal to be prepared for proroguing this present Parliament. Let the Commons know that the Lord Commissioners desire their immediate attendance in this House to hear the Commission read.
I just want a quick list. It's off 1 in the morning.
Nope, he was speaking.
The 16 one is
So tedious.
Close the door.
Keep him out.
You're all right. Skinner took the night off.
Well done. Nicely done.
Mr. Speaker, the Lords who are authorised by Her Majesty's Commission to declare her royal assent to acts passed by both Houses and to also declare the prorogation of Parliament. Desire the presence of this honourable House.
Really? No.
Treat you and what you have to say with respect, and I recognise that our presence is desired by Her Majesty the Queen's Commissioners. They are doing what they believe to be right, and I recognise my role in this matter. Wait a minute. I couldn't care less whether you like it or not. I'm more than happy if people have got the basic tolerance and manners to listen, they'd hear. I'm perfectly happy, as I've advised others, to play my part. But I do want to make the point that this is not a standard or normal prorogation. It is. I don't require any assistance from you, Mr. Stevenson. You wouldn't have the foggiest idea where to start in seeking to counsel me on this important. I require no response from you. I require no response from you, young man. I require no response from you, young man. I require no response from you. Get out, man. You will not be missed.
Please do your job.
I had made the point. I had already made the point that people have the manners to listen, which they haven't. That honour that I will play my part. This is not, however, a normal prorogation. It is not typical. It is not standard. It's one of the longest for decades, and it represents, not just in the minds of many colleagues, but huge numbers of people outside, an act of executive fiat. And therefore, I quite understand. I've already said that Black Rod I respect, and Black Rod is doing her duty, and the Queen's Commissioners are doing their duty, and I will play my part. But I completely understand where it's nothing disorder. I don't require advice on order from you, Mr. Stewart. You're a master of disorder, man. I completely understand why very large numbers of members are much more comfortable staying where they are. Mr. Stewart, if you don't like it, you're perfectly entitled to your view. I couldn't give a flying flamingo what your view is. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed.
Just do your job. Do your job, of which you're handsomely paid. I thought you were Elizabeth Tame there.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, Her Majesty, not thinking fit to be personally present here at this time, has been pleased to cause a commission to be issued under the Great Seal and thereby given her royal assent to an act which has been agreed upon by both Houses of Parliament, the title whereof is particularly mentioned, and by the said commission has commanded us to declare and notify her royal assent to the said act in the presence of you, the Lords and Commons assembled for that purpose, and has also assigned to us and other Lords directed full power and authority in Her Majesty's name to prorogue this present Parliament, which commission you will now hear read.
Elizabeth II, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of our other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith, to our right trusty and right well-beloved, the Lords spiritual and temporal, and to our trusty and well-beloved, the knights, citizens and burgesses of the House of Commons in this present Parliament assembled, greeting. For as much as in our said Parliament an act has been agreed upon by you, our loving subjects, the Lords spiritual and temporal, and the Commons, the short title of which is set forth in the schedule here too, but the said act is not of force and effect in the law without our royal assent, and forasmuch as we cannot at this time be present in our higher house of our said Parliament, being the accustomed place for giving our royal assent to such acts as have been agreed upon by you, our said subjects, the Lords and Commons, we have therefore caused these our letters patent to be made, and have signed them, and by them do give our royal assent to the said act, willing that the said act shall be of the same strength, force and effect as if we had been personally present in the said higher house, and had publicly and in the presence of you all assented to the same. Commanding also our well-beloved and faithful counsellor, Robert James Buckland, Chancellor of Great Britain, to seal these our letters with the great seal of our realm, and also commanding the most reverend Father in God, our faithful counsellor Justin Portal, Archbishop of Canterbury, Primate of all England and Metropolitan, our well-beloved and faithful counsellors, Robert James Buckland, Chancellor of Great Britain, Peter Norman, Lord Fowler, Lord Speaker, Natalie Jessica, Baroness Evans of Bowes Park, Lord Privy Seal, James Arthur David, Lord Hope of Craighead, or any three or more of them, to declare this our royal assent in the said higher house, in the presence of you, the said Lords and Commons, and the clerk of our parliaments, to endorse the said act in our name as is requisite, and to record these our letters patent, and the said act in manner accustomed. And we do declare that after this our royal assent given and declared, as is aforesaid, then and immediately the said act shall be taken and accepted as a good and perfect act of Parliament, and be put in due execution accordingly. And whereas we did lately, for diverse difficult and pressing affairs concerning us, the state and defence of our United Kingdom and Church, ordain this our present Parliament to begin and be holden at our city of Westminster, the 13th day of June in the 66th year of our reign, on which day our said Parliament was begun and holden, and is there now holden, know ye that for certain pressing causes and considerations, us especially moving, we have thought fit to prorogue our said Parliament. We therefore, confiding very much in the fidelity, prudence and circumspection of you, our commissioners aforesaid, have, by the advice and consent of our council, assigned you, our commissioners, giving to you or any three or more of you, by virtue of these presents, full power and authority in our name to prorogue and continue our present Parliament at our city of Westminster aforesaid, on a day no earlier than Monday the 9th day of September, and no later than Thursday the 12th day of September, until and unto Monday the 14th day of October, there then to be holden. And we command you that you diligently attend the premises and effectually fulfil them in manner aforesaid. We also strictly command all and singular our archbishops, bishops, lords, baronets, knights, citizens and burgesses, and all others whom it concerns, to meet at our said Parliament by virtue of these presents, that they observe, obey, and assist you in executing the premises as they ought to do. In witness whereof we have caused these our letters to be made patent. Witness ourselves at Westminster, the 10th day of September, in the 68th year of our reign, by the Queen herself, signed with her own hand.
In obedience to Her Majesty's commands and by virtue of the commission which has been now read, we do declare and notify to you, the Lords Spiritual and Temporal and Commons in Parliament assembled, that Her Majesty has given her royal assent to the Act in the commission mentioned, and the clerks are required to pass the same in the usual form and words.
Parliamentary Buildings Restoration and Renewal Act.
La Reine le vote.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, we are commanded to deliver to you Her Majesty's speech in Her Majesty's own words. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government's legislative programme has laid the foundation for the United Kingdom's departure from the European Union while pursuing wide-ranging domestic reform. Landmark legislation was passed and has now been commenced to repeal the European Communities Act. Other laws are in place to enable the United Kingdom's smooth exit from the European Union, establishing new arrangements on international sanctions, nuclear safeguards, customs and reciprocal healthcare arrangements. Close to 600 statutory instruments have been made to ensure a functioning statute book following the United Kingdom's departure from the European Union. The stability and strength of the Union that joins England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland has been at the forefront of my government's agenda. Preserving and promoting the social, economic and cultural bonds that unite this nation remains of the utmost importance to my government. My government continues to work to ensure that locally accountable politicians can take decisions in Northern Ireland at the earliest opportunity. It has been an enduring focus of my government to strengthen the economy, to support the creation of jobs and to generate the tax revenues needed to invest in the National Health Service, schools and other public services. Improving public finances while keeping taxes low has been a priority for my government. Legislation passed this session has provided 100% relief from business rates for agricultural nurseries and, for a period of 5 years from April 2017, properties used for the purpose of new fibre infrastructure. My government has set out a programme of work to improve productivity and help businesses create high-quality, well-paid jobs across the United Kingdom. In 2019, more than 1 million workers benefited from the largest increase to the national living wage since it was first introduced. My ministers have worked to attract investment in infrastructure to support economic growth. Legislation has been passed to ensure that the United Kingdom remains a world leader in new industries, including electric cars and commercial satellites. My government has continued to support international action against climate change, including implementation of the Paris Agreement. Recognising the need for bold steps to protect the planet, a commitment to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050 was enshrined in law, making the United Kingdom the first major economy to do so. Draft legislation was published, which will establish a new body to ensure the United Kingdom's high environmental standards are maintained and to protect and improve the environment for future generations. My government has legislated to protect animals, including bans on the sale of ivory, puppies and kittens by commercial third parties and the use of wild animals in travelling circuses in England. Voyeurism offences have been recognised as the crimes that they are, and legislation has been passed to ensure the courts have powers to take swift action to protect children who are identified as at risk of female genital mutilation. In presenting my long-term plan for the National Health Service in England, my government strengthened its commitment to ensuring there is a world-class health system that supports everyone from birth through the challenges that life brings and into old age. My government is committed to ensuring mental health support is available to all who need it and to protecting the fundamental human rights of the most vulnerable in society. Legislation enacted this session will increase access to protections and put in place robust safeguards for those who are deprived of their liberty. In recognition of the need to make renting fairer and more affordable and to promote fairness and transparency in the housing market, legislation has been enacted to reduce costs at the outset of and throughout a tenancy by banning most letting fees paid by tenants in England. My government has taken steps to ensure fairer markets and to protect consumers from unfair practices and financial losses. Legislation has been passed to ensure people have access to free and impartial financial guidance and debt advice, and to introduce a ban on nuisance calls in relation to pensions. Measures have been enacted to reduce insurance costs for motorists by tackling the high number and cost of whiplash claims. The security of the nation and its citizens remains of the highest importance to my government. In this session, legislation has been passed to ensure the police and security services have the powers they need to keep the population safe in the face of evolving threats of terrorism. Legislation passed this session marks a significant step towards my government's commitment to tackle serious violence on the streets of the United Kingdom. Laws are now in place to prevent young people from purchasing dangerous weapons and to prosecute those who possess such items or sell them without imposing rigorous age verification. The defence of the realm remains an utmost priority for my government, which it has supported through investment in our gallant armed forces. As a leading member of the international coalition against Daesh, the United Kingdom played a critical role in the military defeat of Daesh's so-called caliphate in March of this year. While the Middle East continues to suffer from serious conflict, my government has played a leading role in de-escalating regional tensions. My government has also played a key role in international efforts to protect the United Kingdom and its allies from hostile threats, including in response to the chemical weapon attack in Salisbury. As a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, my government has provided political and diplomatic support to peace efforts in Yemen, Libya and Syria, as well as mitigating the human cost of these tragedies through the provision of substantial humanitarian assistance. Prince Philip and I were pleased to welcome Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Letizia of Spain, and we also welcome King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the President and First Lady of the United States of America on state visits. Prince Charles and I were delighted to attend a national commemorative event to honour and remember the heroism, courage and sacrifice of the many servicemen and women who participated in the D-Day landings. Members of the House of Commons, I thank you for the provisions which you have made for the work and dignity of the Crown and for the public services. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, I pray that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your councils. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, by virtue of Her Majesty's commission, which has been now read, we do, in Her Majesty's name and in obedience to Her Majesty's commands, prorogue this Parliament to Monday, the 14th day of October, to be then here holden, and this Parliament is accordingly prorogued to Monday, the 14th day of October.
home here. Who said it was offered? Are you sure? Order. I have to acquaint the House that the House has been to the House of Peers, where a commission under the Great Seal was read, authorising the royal assent to the following Act. Parliamentary Buildings, brackets, Restoration and Renewal, close brackets, Act 2019. I have further to acquaint the House that the Leader of the House of Lords, one of the Lords Commissioners, delivered Her Majesty's most gracious speech to both Houses of Parliament in pursuance of Her Majesty's command. For greater accuracy, I have obtained a copy and also directed that the terms of the speech be printed in the Journal of this House. Copies are being made available in the Vote Office. The Commission was also for proroguing this present Parliament, and the Leader of the House of Lords said, "My Lords and members of the House of Commons, by virtue of Her Majesty's commission, which has now been read, we do in Her Majesty's name and in obedience to Her Majesty's commands prorogue this Parliament to Monday the 14th day of October, to be then here holden, and this Parliament is accordingly prorogued to Monday the 14th day of October."
Look at him hiding behind the door. Come on in.
There's nothing compulsory about it, but, you know, on these occasions, when prorogation takes place, if colleagues feel like toddling along this side to shake hands until we meet again, they're very welcome to do so. But it does mean shaking my hand, if you can bear that.
Consider